In November of 2021, Capital One released the Venture X credit card, challenging both the AMEX Platinum and the Chase Sapphire Reserve for the spot of top premium travel credit card. But what does the Capital One Venture X card actually offer? Let's break it down. I'm Bradford of the Penny Pincher's Guide to Personal Finance, and the first area of the Venture X card that I want to talk about has to do with its statement credits that it offers. Now, there is a high expectation that with any premium travel credit card, because they do typically charge such a high annual fee, that you're going to be getting some pretty solid statement credits that if it's not able to completely cover the cost of the annual fee, it at least covers at least a good portion of it. Now, with the Venture X card, it does have an unusually low annual fee compared to the other premium cards out there. This one comes in at only $395 a year. And because it has such a low fee, in conjunction with the statement credits that it offers, I think it's actually very easy to completely offset the annual fee every single year. Now, the first one that I want to talk about is going to be a statement credit of $300 that you're going to get every single year, beginning as soon as you are approved for the card. And that statement credit is going to be applicable towards any travel that you book directly through the Capital One travel portal. Now, in addition to that, you're also going to be getting a $100 credit. Now, this one's not applicable every single year, but it's going to go towards either global entry or TSA PreCheck. And then additionally, once you're past your first year of membership, every anniversary year of when you actually open up the card, you're going to be gifted 10,000 Capital One miles, which has an equivalent value using a 1 cent to 1 point valuation of $100. So that means after the first year, you're going to be getting, taking the global entry credit off the table, you're going to be getting the equivalent of $400 every single year. And when you take into the fact that the annual fee is only $395, Capital One is actually paying you to use their credit card. Now, since you're not going to be getting that bonus point in the first year when you open it, that's when I'd like to look at whatever the intro bonus is at the current time. Right now, when I'm filming, it's 75,000 points. So that has a valuation on the low end of $750. So even at the outset, you are getting a much greater valuation with the statement credits just to use the card than if you didn't have it in the first place. Now, the one big drawback to all these statement credits is that it's very heavily focused on using the Capital One travel portal itself. So if you like booking directly through an airline or you have a loyalty program at your favorite hotel chain, that means this card is probably not going to be a good fit for you because most of the big perks about this card are all about channeling you through the Capital One travel portal. So just keep that in mind, and that element is going to come up later in this review. Now, with the statement credits out of the way, covering the annual fee, so I think that shouldn't be much of an issue, what are the benefits that you get with this card that truly make it a premium travel credit card? Now, the first one is going to be the lounge access. Now, if you're a heavy traveler, you know that having access to a lounge when you're at an airport can make your travel day a heck of a lot nicer. Now, with the Capital One Venture X card, you're going to get unlimited access to the Capital One lounges. Now, this sounds nice, but at the moment, there's currently only one Capital Lounge open, and that's in Denver. And now there are supposed to be 2 additional lounges that are going to open up at Washington Dulles and then in Dallas Fort Worth probably later this year. But at the moment, unless you live in Denver or you fly through there often, this is not really a helpful benefit for you. Now, I would imagine based on some of the reviews that I've seen is that the Capital One lounge is very similar to what you would experience with the AMEX Centurion lounge. So it's a higher tier lounge. You get really good food offerings. It is definitely a step up above whatever the airlines are offering for their standard lounges. Now, that's really nice, and hopefully as Capital One expands, this will be a much better benefit in the future. But as it stands, unless you're currently routing through Denver often, this is a benefit that you can really just kind of throw off the table. Now, in addition to that, you're also going to get access to the full Priority Pass network, which, similar to what Chase and AMEX both offer, this is over 1,300 lounges that you're going to get into for free and 2 additional guests if you're choosing. So this is definitely nice. Now, what sort of valuation do I actually place on putting on these lounges? Now, some of these lounges are going to charge $50, $60 per person per visit to get in, and I would never pay that fee because I just don't think it's worth it. Now, I would put the valuation of about $20 per person that you're actually getting when you get to go into these lounges. And the valuation I get from that is if you're having a long travel day, you're going to be spending money in the terminal anyway, getting some food, some drinks, whether soft beverages or they're alcoholic. You're going to be spending probably at least that much money just to be able to get food while you're traveling. And the fact that you're getting it for free in the lounge means I easily give it that $20 valuation. Now, especially some of these lounges, they do offer showers. So if you have a really long travel day, being able to kind of wash off that grime makes your travel day so much easier. And then also coming in with the perks with regards to travel is that you're going to automatically get the Hertz President Circle status. Now, that's the top level status that Hertz offers. And some of the perks that you can experience with that is a dedicated customer service line that's only available to the Hertz President Circle members. You're going to be earning 1.5 points per dollar spent, as well as you're going to be getting a guaranteed upgrade to the next class of whatever you book every single time you book. And you're also going to have the widest availability of any of the status levels when it goes to actually booking with Hertz. This is a great benefit. Whatever card is going to give you a top tier benefit like this with any sort of car rental agency, I think is super helpful. But if Hertz isn't the company that you like to use, this isn't going to be a helpful benefit to you anyway. Then another perk that goes along with this card is because it is considered to be a Visa Infinite card, that you're going to get access to the highest level of Visa Concierge Service, which doesn't really have a specific dollar amount to peg to it, but it does give you the nice benefit of being able to get last minute digital reservations, or if you're trying to plan some sort of special event, be able to offload some of the penguins on your iceberg to be able to do it is a nice thing to have. But it isn't something I would necessarily assign a dollar value to, but because this is a premium travel card, this is something that I would expect to be on there, and the fact that it's included is a good sign. Next up, with regards to the travel benefits on the VentureX card, deals with how you book your travel. With the VentureX card, you're going to get access to the Capital One travel portal. Now, in addition to the benefits that I mentioned earlier, and some additional ones dealing with miles multipliers that I'll talk about later in this review, just the biggest benefit here is it's another travel portal. And the nicest thing about the Capital One is that it does do price tracking to be able to help you get the best deal out there. Now, one example that goes along with the Capital One travel is that if you book something and then within the next 24 hours, the price changes significantly, Capital One is going to credit you back whatever the difference is if the price has gone down. And then later on, you're also going to be able to get up to $50 back if there's a big change in price. Now, if you're buying a multi-$1,000 ticket for an international plane service, that's not really going to be helpful. But the ability to be able to change within the first 24 hours is pretty nice. Now, I would say this is comparable to some of the other travel services where you have a free refund up to the first 24 hours when you book it, which is basically the equivalent here, except you don't have to go with the hassle of refunding your ticket, possibly losing your spot. So just being able to get that credit back, I would say is definitely a leg up compared to just getting a straight refund. And another offshoot part of the Capital One travel is that you're going to get access to their premier hotel collection. Now, this is very similar to what I've seen with the AMEX travel portal with their fine hotels and resorts, but basically what you're getting here is you're going to be getting a $100 statement credit for the duration of your stay, daily breakfast for two, and then subject to availability, you can get access to early check-in, late checkout, and then upgrades when they're available. And then yet another benefit that's offered that kind of goes along with the travel theme is you can get some complimentary subscriptions. Now, honestly, these are not things that I've ever used before, but if it is something that you do like to use, that is definitely be a perk for you. For me, with the card, it's not something that I would ever actually take advantage of because I don't particularly like these different sorts of magazines that go with travel. And then the last benefit that I would mention that I think does really give the VentureX card a leg up among its competitors is that it is free to add additional card members. Now, this can actually save you quite a bit of money when you look at how much it would cost compared to AMEX, which is $175 for additional members for the Platinum card, or the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is $75 per additional member. When you look at the fact that the VentureX card has both a lower annual fee and then no additional annual fee to be able to add additional members, I think this is a huge leg up, especially if you're looking to travel with family and you want everybody in the group to be able to get access to the Capital One lounges once they spread out, and the Priority Pass and the other benefits that do come along with this card. And now we're on to the reason why this card is called a travel card, and that deals with the miles multipliers you're going to get when you spend on travel. So the big three categories that you're going to be dealing with is you can get 10 points back per dollar spent on any car rentals or hotels that are booked through the Capital One travel portal. Additionally, you're going to get 5 times miles back per dollar spent for any airlines that are booked through the Capital One travel portal. And then for all other spending, regardless of category and with no limit, you're going to be getting 2 miles back per dollar spent. Now, kind of breaking these down, I think the biggest handicap towards the first two, the 10x and the 5x multipliers, is that you're only eligible to get those if you book through the Capital One travel portal. Now, as I previously mentioned, if you prefer to book directly through an airline or any other business when it comes to your travel, this is not going to be a card for you because most of the benefits that you get deal directly with booking through Capital One Travel, which is what they're trying to channel you through. Now, the 2x points for everything else I think is really great, especially considering when the miles here conservatively valued is 1 cent per mile back. That means you're effectively getting a 2% valuation on regardless of what you're spending, which is definitely a step up among its competitors. So I think that is really powerful. But how do you actually redeem these points? How do you get the value out of them? And that's going to get to how you actually redeem these points. Now, the first part that I actually really like is that you can just redeem them directly as a statement credit towards any travel that you purchased within the last 90 days. Now, what's great here is that if you went and purchased a hotel through the Capital One travel portal, that means you are instantly getting at a minimum a 10% cash back on all of your spending. So that's a 10% coupon right out the door, and that stacks on with whatever other coupons or benefits that you're already getting. So I think it's really easy, especially if you really like the Capital One Travel Portal, you're booking a lot of things through there, to be able to get a great amount of valuation and with really a very easy way of doing it without having to worry about transferring to partners to be able to get that bonus multiplier. And so really, I think this is probably one of the best ways of redemption if you're just looking for simplicity and being able to redeem things for as simple as possible. With a 10x and the 5x multiplier, that means you have a lot of ability to just get cash back in your pocket without having to worry about those transfer partners. Now, those transfer partners, quite a few international airlines, and then there's a couple local hotels, Choice and Wyndham. Now, one drawback to this is that when you do go to these transfer partners is that there are no domestic airlines to be able to transfer to. So if you're looking for simplicity, this adds a little bit of step above that because you'd have to transfer to the international partner and then try to book through their partner services for any domestic flights you're trying to make. Now, this is kind of a two-edged sword here because on one hand, there's a little bit more actual legwork done, so that's a drawback. But on the positive side is when you look at what the redemption values are when you transfer to any domestic airline, they're typically terrible compared to what you can get with an international airline. So I think this really kind of levels it out, the fact that there's no domestic airlines available to you. So I really think this is the biggest opportunity to be able to get the most valuation out of your miles. So you're going to be getting whatever the valuation is, the 10x, 5x, 2x of whatever you're spending on. And then when you go to actually transfer to a partner, you can be getting a multiplier on top of that as well. So you can really be stretching what the value of your dollar is when you're looking to travel. A couple other options that are available to you is you can use your miles to book directly through the Capital One Travel Portal, expect to get a 1 cent per 1 point valuation. You also have the option to be able to redeem it directly for cash. I wouldn't do this unless you have no other option. This is only going to give you a 0.5 cent per point valuation, which by far is going to be the worst way to actually redeem your Capital One miles. There's also the option, like most of these credit cards, to be able to get gift cards, and that's going to be giving you a 0.5 to a 1 cent per point valuation. Now, I would say almost never do this. Maybe there'd be some good deal that would pop up that would make it worthwhile to you. But as a general rule, stay away from cash back and gift cards, specifically with redeeming Capital One miles. There's additionally the option to be able to pool your points with family or friends. If you're trying to get your points together to make some big trip together, that could be a good thing that's available to you. And then the last thing I want to mention is what is actually considered to be covered underneath travel when you're trying to use your points to redeem something, or if you're trying to get a statement credit back to cover something you've already purchased. Fortunately, Capital One has a pretty broad range when it comes to what is considered travel to be able to get money back in your pocket. And that's going to cover things like hotels, airlines, trains, car rentals, limos, buses, taxis, travel agents, as well as timeshares. So when it comes underneath the travel umbrella, the range is pretty wide. So whenever you're going to be doing your travel, you can almost always assume that whatever you're doing with regards to travel is going to be covered. Now that we understand all the workings of the Capital One Venture X card, who do I think this card is kind of best suited for? So I think there's different variations of which card is going to be best on which situation when you're looking at those premium travel cards. Now, probably the biggest thing here is if you're looking for a card that has the ability to be very simple to use, particularly when you're looking at those redemptions to be able to cover travel that you've already purchased. And then in addition, because it does have that lower annual fee, and the annual fee can be paid off with the statement credits that you're already getting every single year, I think is very useful in that respect. Now, if you are looking for a card that has tons of credits that you can use, kind of like a coupon book, the AMEX Platinum is probably going to be better. But this card does have solid statement credits. It has really solid earning potential. And then it has a pretty good and simplistic way to both just redeem your statement, to be able to redeem your miles just for statement credits, or to transfer them to partner airlines to multiply the valuation that you're already getting. The biggest drawback to this one, as I previously mentioned, is if you do like booking directly through a business, whether it's an airline, hotel, rental car company, this is not going to be a solid fit for you because all of the valuation, other than the base multiplier, is tied to booking things through the Capital One Travel Portal. And then another thing, if you don't like how the Capital One Travel Portal is set up, even though I do think it's set up pretty well, again, this card is not going to be giving you the valuation that you're hoping for and what you're spending your money on. So you're going to be better off looking at other options. Now, after looking through this, you decide you want to look at some other travel credit card options or just trying to figure out what card is going to be best for you moving forward. Definitely check out our full review list right here. Thanks for watching, and from your first penny to your first million, we're here to help.